It was in 2012 when President Aquino issued Order 67, which instructed the DOTC to head the agencies that will put up central bus terminals in the north, south, and southwest of Metro Manila for provincial buses. As of late, it's only the ITS, or the Integrated Transport System, for South and Southwest that seem to be moving, with final bidding scheduled by the end of this year. There appears to be difficulty as far as the North ITS is concerned. To give us more insights into this issue, we invited to Motoring Today's Motoring Forum DOTC spokesperson Atty. Migs Sagcal. Good afternoon, Atty. Sagcal, and welcome to Motoring Today.
Good afternoon, Butch, and good afternoon to all your viewers.
Reports have it that some difficulty is being met with regard to the putting up of the North ITS. But before we dig deep into that, can you please brief us regarding the status of the South and Southwest ITS? Like, which part of the project timeline is it on now, and when do you see the actual start and finish of both projects?
Well, for both Southwest and South ITS terminals, we are already in the bidding process. They're undergoing different procedures under the BOT law, but at least for the Southwest terminal, which is the one that will be located on Coastal Road, we're expecting the bids to be submitted by next week, December 12th. And for the results of that, we're looking towards January, maybe February at the latest. Meaning we'll have a winner by February at the latest next year. And for the South Terminal, which will be put up at the FTI complex on SLEX, we're in the middle of the qualification stage right now. But the actual bids for the project is targeted for April 2015, and then give or take about 1 or 2 months for evaluation or post-bidding evaluation. Then we will find out the winner. Both projects should begin construction within a year from the time of award. So we're looking towards the late 2015, early 2016 start of actual construction, and operational within another year after that. So hopefully within 2016, we will have both terminals operational.
Let's move on to the problematic North ITS. What sites are being considered, and what needs to be hurdled before it is finalized?
Well, for North ITS, the complication compared to South and Southwest is that there are no viable government-owned sites in the North area. And that means that we have to go through a right-of-way or an expropriation step or procedure before we can actually proceed. Some sites that have been considered are a site within the UP property, somewhere along Commonwealth Avenue, a site within Caloocan near the Monumento area. There was a private owner of a property near the Balintawak interchange who also offered as a viable option that property. And recently, Manila Seedling Bank in the Quezon Circle area, and now also the Veterans property along North Avenue have been considered. Right now, we're looking closely at Veterans because the DND, the Department of National Defense, which owns the property, has expressed willingness to sell it. But of course, we'll have to go through negotiations. The next step, once we are able to finalize a site, is to go to the NEDA. That process takes a few months. Could be 3 months, could be 6 months, depending on whether NEDA finds some issues in the project proposal. But once we get NEDA board approval, hopefully within 6 months, then we can start the bidding process. And that will take about another 6 months before we can actually proceed with the construction of the project.
In the Southwest ITS, there is an interim area where temporary functions of the ITS are being performed. How is it managing presently, considering that loud howls of protest from bus operators were heard when it first began its operation?
The temporary Southwest terminal is actually managed and operated by the MMDA. So we're not very familiar with the day-to-day issues that affect its operations so far today. But judging from how we've seen it, we've had occasion to actually visit the site a few times over the past year. We've seen that there's been a lot of improvement. I think the initial adjustment was the issue, but once people got used to the whole system of how the temporary terminal worked, we think it's improved considerably, and people have adjusted already.
Word has it that there are plans to put up a similar interim area for the ITS in the north? Where is it being located?
We are actually encountering the same problem for a temporary site in the north. Again, there's no available government-owned property, and so going through the process of actually acquiring or leasing a property for a temporary site would result in the same issues as a permanent North ITS. So we're actually not actively pursuing that at the moment. Our concern is the permanent ITS terminal in the north. Once we have that, then we can perhaps already start using the site as a temporary terminal. But in the meantime, the main focus is the permanent site.
Tell us, Migs, when all of these ITS are finally put up, would it mean that bus terminals would no longer be allowed to operate anywhere within Metro Manila?
Interestingly, there's actually a Supreme Court decision that says that we can't regulate the terminals. The DOTC or government cannot prevent anybody from using sites within Metro Manila or in any area for that matter for terminal uses. We can't regulate that aspect. What we can do, however, is prohibit the use of these properties, for instance, those terminals that exist now along EDSA. We can prevent those from being used as loading and unloading areas. So what we can do is use the ITS, the two southern ITS and the northern ITS, as the last boarding or onboard or unloading site, and just allow the buses to go to their garages and their terminals without carrying passengers.
That's all the time we have this afternoon, Migs. But before we let you go, any message for our viewers?
Well, we'd like to remind the public that the DOTC and all our transport agencies under us are working towards modernizing all our transport systems and putting in order and discipline back on the streets. So it might take a while, it might take a few more years, but at least we're laying down the groundwork now.
Thank you, Migs. Attorney Migs Sagcal, spokesperson of the DOTC, our guest this week on Motoring Today's Motoring Forum.